And welcome to Arsenal. Above all, wow, what a big win! How's your heads? Mine's a bit hazy. I feel like I've done a 24-hour shift today. Not that I did that much work today. Really, I was looking at all the content and everything that I could find. Steve and Mac were just sending me loads of stuff. Sometimes the same stuff, but I was just enjoyed it. I just enjoyed it anyway. It was amazing to take in. Hope everyone's well. I've got a big panel tonight. I've got a certain gentleman, the most dangerous Arsenal fan alive, who was there last night. So it'd be interesting to hear the intel and how one thing about this gentleman is don't go to an Arsenal game with him because the time it takes him to go to an Arsenal game would be like a couple of hours because he's probably he thinks he's getting told by the CIA. That's Neil Shah, the Arsenal Jason Bourne. We've got obviously some familiar faces here tonight, and we're going to get into it because it's a special night last night, and I wanted to get as many voices on it just to give the team their flowers as they deserved. So before all of that, of course, let's go. Hello and welcome. Wow, what a night! 24 hours later. This time it was we're just getting into the second half, where we started to put it on the Kings of Europe, and wow, what the rest of that 45 minutes will go down in history as probably one of the finest second half performances from an Arsenal team that we've witnessed in our lifetime. I've got Steve. They called me Stepney with me tonight. Hello, Steve. I've got Mac, old school, with me tonight. I've got James Johnson from James Johnson's Football, and of course, the aforementioned, the most dangerous Arsenal fan alive, Neil Shah.
What's he talking about?
Again, he's here tonight, so I really appreciate it, gents. I know we've got a big panel tonight, but as I said, I think it's only right that we get as many people on to. Share their thoughts on what they witnessed last night. Obviously, myself and Mac and Brian had the preview show when we were sharing our thoughts on what was gonna happen. I think we all kind of predicted a win, but a narrow one. Maybe 2-1, possibly a scoring draw. Neil, you were there last night, so we'll start with yourself. You've obviously been to a lot of Arsenal games. You've seen loads of magical moments, trophy lifts and everything. But what was it like last night just going into that stadium? They obviously wanted everyone to get there early. They wanted people to get there from the warm-up, which I think it wasn't that bad in terms of numbers, especially when you consider what transport is like in London and getting around the place. But what was the vibe like, as you entered the stadium and just, around kickoff and when they came out and stuff? Because it looked, from what they kind of showed us on TV, the light show and everything, it was quite brief. It wasn't that sustained, so we didn't really get to see it all. But what was it like being in amongst it last night?
It's been, firstly, can you hear me? Because I'm on my phone today.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect. So thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it. To talk about a historic night. It really, truly was and is and will remain to be probably forever for all Arsenal fans and for the club. I would compare it, just before I start talking about the atmosphere, I've been to some amazing games. I won't talk about the ones in Highbury, but in the Emirates, there was the time we beat Man United when Andre scored. I think it was the last minute when RVP broke his metatarsal. That was incredible. I think Rooney had scored the first goal, and then we came back and won 2-1. And then, of course, there's been other moments, but the Barcelona one was insane because that was peak Barcelona. And we had the likes of, was it Bentner and Shamak and players like that, and we managed to beat them 2-1 with Arshavin in goal. And that night, my goodness me, the atmosphere, that takes whatever. I think it just remains in isolation as one of the best moments for us as a club and as a fan base. But the atmosphere was amazing. But yesterday, I would have to say, I wouldn't say eclipsed it because it's different, but it's up there. It's well up there. And the atmosphere around the streets, coming out of Finsbury Park, it was absolutely packed. The pubs were packed. There was some occasion about it. My feeling is, I think a lot of people who didn't manage to get tickets still turned up just for the occasion. I think the Ashburton Army did that walk from the Eaglet. I was toying with the idea of maybe participating in that, but it would have meant that it would have been quite pressed for time. So I abstained from doing that. But I'm sure there's probably videos on social media. It must have been just simply amazing. But all of that contributed into an amazing electric atmosphere. And then as we're entering the ground, everyone's excited. Everyone's giving their predictions, their thoughts. And, you stand there in the ground and surrounded by this electricity, if you like. It's just so palatable. And then, the light show wasn't that long. You're quite right from what you could see from the TV. It wasn't that long. But it was straight to the point kind of thing. And we all had a carrier bag on our seats to hold up. And it's just, it was amazing. And you know what? I had a good feeling about it the night before. I was on the chat on your show, Michael, and I said 3-1. I had a really good feeling about it. And I thought that we have been the best, I think by far the best team in the whole competition. And I don't know what it is about this side of ours, but we're suited for this competition. And the way we did so well in the group stage and we dismantled PSV like something crazy. I just had a feeling we were going to score goals, and I only gave that 3-1 prediction because I thought the loss of Gabriel might impact us a little bit. But it is what it is, and how it turned out, as you know. But what a night to remember! Absolutely amazing, and I was privileged to be there, honoured to be there, and I wish all of you could have had a taste of that. Just incredible.
Yeah, and envious. The missus was there. She managed to nab a few of those plastic bags that are going for, I think, 40 quid at the moment on eBay. So, it is half term and we've got the kids' holidays coming up. So, investments and returns and all that stuff. We have to talk about that. But
you could buy the ticket to the final with it, Mike.
Oh yeah, mate. Don't be thinking ahead too far, mate. One game at a time. I'll come to you in a minute. But Steve, we were fortunate to work at the club and to witness some nice moments in the Emirates. Obviously, nothing as major as what would have been seen at Highbury. But again, that night at against Barcelona, people are comparing it to that, saying this is the greatest night. Is that your thoughts as well in terms of the result, in terms of how it actually came about?
Yeah, I'm just going to do something very, very quickly. So for the next 3 seconds, you've got 3 seconds to turn your volume down because the sound you are about to hear will be devastating to your ears. 3, 2, 1, boom, baby! Yeah, it was an amazing night. Come on, man. Putting a performance like that. I mean, they're the champions. They're the European champions, the 15-time European champions, and they didn't score. We kept a clean sheet. The atmosphere from the beginning, just watching it on the TV, you had tingles. I listened to the show the day after you guys put it out, and it was refreshing to hear the confidence. I mean, we're talking about Real Madrid, the champions, the current UEFA Champions League champions. They did a double last year, and we made them look bang average. I mean, from the first minute, it was intoxicating. There was nothing that was. It only looked like going one way. Even in the first half, yes, there were a few mistakes, a few silly passes that were intercepted. We gave away a couple of cheap chances. But no matter what, we just looked phenomenal. It was like I said, I could drink it and drink it and drink it, and goal after goal after goal. Boo!
Well, Steve looks like he's still under the influence from his celebrations last night. which I don't blame him. I think I had a few cheeky ones as well, even though it was a school night. Well, it wasn't a school night because again it was half term. It was a work, obviously I had work in the morning and all that. But we'll go to you, James. I know you've had a chat about it on the Manda show. What was your initial thoughts after what you were witnessing, really? As Steve said, the worries of what Madrid were about. The first half, we looked a bit shaky. I think Kivior and Saka gave the ball away. I think Kivior sort of misjudged the bounce of the ball and let Mbappe in straight away. And then obviously Saka gave the ball away as well, and it looked a bit cagey. But what was your just thoughts on the actual start of it? Were you happy with the lineup? Were you happy with Kivior playing? I think me and Mac said we had our formations, and I would have went with Saliba and White. But what was your thoughts just on that start and just how we sort of traded punches with Madrid in the beginning in the first half?
Yeah, so lineup wise, I thought that he would. I thought he was going to back Kivior, especially after. I mean, they gave him man of the match against Everton on the television. I thought that even though he didn't have a bad game, in my opinion, I thought that was generous that he got given that man of the match. But still, Arteta's obviously backing him, saying, this is your moment, this is your time. Yeah. And the players have got to back that as well. And like Stephen, like Neil, like you've said, and I'm sure Mac will say when you throw it over to him as well, this is the biggest pedigree club in this competition, which is next to the World Cup. This is the biggest competition in football. I won't be told otherwise. The Champions League is the pinnacle of this game next to the World Cup. And these are the best team at it, with arguably the best two players in the world. Some of them say Vinicius is, some of them say Mbappe is. And we've got an 18-year-old who people are still calling a boy. I think that's disrespectful after last night because he become a man out there. I mean, for me, he's been a man for a few weeks. But yeah, he become a man out there last night. In terms of players that were the best from open play, I think he was levels above all of them. But Declan Rice, obviously, man of the match because of the two set pieces. But yeah, this guy he's sensational. What an amazing footballer he is. Just what an amazing footballer. And do you know what as well? Stephen will like this as well. He channeled some Ben White last night. That clip with the throw-in where he's like, no, I'm going to take the ball off the cone instead. I'm just going to waste a bit more time. I loved all that. I'm like, just rattle him. Just be you. Just do what you do best, which is be an amazing footballer. But this other edge to your game, keep it going because you're brilliant. It's brilliant to see and you're brilliant at it. But yeah, Mike, I was in awe when that first free kick got given. I thought Odegaard, as much as I laud him and say that he's one of our best players, from set pieces, he's arguably got a foot like a pillow, hasn't he? He's got no real power in that. They barely get over the wall. And I was like, please let Declan Rice hit this. And my God. And then when he goes to the second one, I'm thinking he can't do it again. Why did I think that? Of course he can. Of course he can. And I think it's one of those where the more I watch it, the second one, it gets better every time.
Yeah.
I don't think you realise how beautifully placed that is. And you've got these dopies that are now trying to tell you that the goalkeeper made it easy for him. Well, I'm like, when Bruno Fernandes scored a free kick against us a few weeks ago, that was nowhere near as good as these two free kicks. You all were saying how brilliant that was. You weren't saying about how Raya. A few of them said about David Raya, but the main consensus was, oh no, he's absolutely swazzed. That's brilliant. The technique on that's unbelievable. I'm like, well, one, the ref didn't move the wall back properly, so that's a big help. And to be fair, David Raya did give him half the bloody goal to smash the ball into. But that last night, Neil, you rang me after the game. Neil rang me after the game and said, oh, you could put any goalkeeper in the world, they're not save it. I went, well, he is the best goalkeeper in the world and he didn't save it. Courtois, for me, is the best goalie in the world. I mean, I'll let the others go because I'm going to waffle a little bit here, but we could have done that. We could have done what we did at PSV away to Real Madrid last night. We could have had 5 or 6.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If it wasn't for him and for Saliba, he scored once with his bum this season. Unfortunately, he blocked it this time from Partey. But we could have beat Real Madrid. We could be sat here talking about how we done them 5 or 6.
Yeah, quite comfortably. I mean, Mac. I know you're going out there, and I know you've got a good friend who works for the club and everything. And have you had any intel or any conversations you can feed back in terms of how? Because a lot of people are saying about how obviously Ancelotti's getting quite a lot of grief about that, and a lot of Madrid fans have gone a little bit crazy. Some of the media are surprised or shocked at the, because I think there's stuff coming out that the scouting or they didn't really take us that seriously in some of the things that they were doing. They didn't think Merino was going to start up front and things like that. But what was your just thoughts on how what the impact this has made, not just on us, but just the rest of the teams in the competition, and especially setting up for the second leg?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd say that just talking about the whole situation with us, obviously, I echo what everyone else has said. And I was watching, obviously, as you know, I'm on holiday. So I was looking at loads of social media, and there's loads of people who are not Arsenal supporters, or just like Londoners, who are saying the atmosphere in London was positive because of just what we did last night. And I just don't think we understand. We in our little bubble of Arsenal don't understand the ripple effect, the positive ripple effect we had across London to make the whole of London feel light. And someone was basically going, "Oh, they need to repeat this again." Like we can just turn it on and off like a tap. Anyway, so I think we just got to realize the actual impact and the effect we had as a club and as supporters on the rest of London, and that's obviously a feel-good factor. And I think I echo what everyone else has said. It's the most important night and the most significant night, and no doubt they'll have the video on repeat, and they're even going to put loads of pictures. They might even have a special room, the 3-0 room or whatever. I don't know, it's Real Madrid room in the Emirates, especially when they redo it up. But I think it was definitely the most important night we've ever had at the Emirates, without a shadow of a doubt. And I wasn't even there, but my mate was there, and as I showed you, Mike, he was famous when he went up to obviously that was the second goal for Rice. He was in the in the reel or whatever, and ironically, I could have got a ticket for that, but obviously a bit pricey, as everyone was reselling for very expensive prices. But anyway, so as far as my guy in Madrid, it's funny talking to him. Now, first of all, he said something that was very interesting. He said he wasn't surprised at the result. He wasn't surprised. I was, and I think that the thing about it, one thing we put Real Madrid on a pedestal, right? But overall, this season they have been poor and unpredictable. They've been up and down. We knew that before the game, everyone talked about it, didn't they? The pundits, everything. But the game before, they lost at the Bernabeu. They lost at home. So is it Valencia? So so we've got to remember that this season they're having a poor season. Now, there's lots of different factors to do with that. So he talked about the fact that Ancelotti, there's talk about the way he is, and whether the hierarchy want to keep him on or not, even though he's talking up staying. So there's a lot of that going on. But I think that the bottom line is what he's been saying to me is that they are ultimately becoming that team that we've seen before Real Madrid, team of individuals, and they're not playing as a team. And then with us, we're playing as a team. We've been playing together as a team for some time. Obviously, there's the young guns who are obviously incredible, like the Lewis Scan and the rest of it. So them coming in, we played as a team, and we showed it last night. We played as a team, moved as a unit. When we did the low block, we all moved together. I think they were in shock, and going back to my friend, that I think they did overestimate what they could do. They thought could stroll into the Emirates and they could win, and they didn't give any respect, speaking to him, about Mourinho. And I think the Merino thing shocked them, just how good he would play, and also the fact that they didn't believe that if they squeezed him, that things would happen the way they would. And secondly, I think they thought, just looking at the way they played, that obviously the whole situation, Saka, injuries, that when he was playing, that he would not be as good as he was, and he would come back as good as well. Because obviously he'd just come back 5 minutes ago, and obviously he had Alaba on toes. He had him in his back pocket the whole game. And so obviously we talked about it with Mike about the fact we were the strike or rest of it. So I think there was a lot of disrespect As far as the impact, as far as like overall the Champions League, I think that most people would still think, and you can hear it from the pundits, that we're still not going to get any further. They think, yeah, we might win this game, but most teams don't think we'll get past PSG. I think there's still that lack of disrespect, just because we haven't won it before. So we like to be in that position, and I like it as well, because it means that no one's taking us seriously. So when we come to them, I know PSG are beating Villa at the moment 2-1. If we get to that position, well, that that'll be their undoing, won't it? Because they've underestimated, just because we haven't got a striker, an out-and-out striker, that we can't get the job done, which we've proven we can.
I mean, it's interesting what you're saying. I mean, on a couple of things in terms of London. We've won the FA Cup obviously the last couple of years, or obviously 5 years ago, and then a couple obviously with Arsene Wenger. And it's been, obviously we know how long it's been since we won the title, and that's like kind of pre-social media times, isn't it? And I don't think people know how crazy, not only how crazy social media would be if we won the league. You only had to look at the social media yesterday, and the timelines were just going off the charts. But if Arsenal won the title, London would just be shut down. On the parade day, it would just be chaos, because there'll be Arsenal fans coming all over the world, not just in London, but all over the world. And that's why I don't think the Cronkies actually realise what they've got on their hands. They don't realise how they've got their NBA teams, and they've got they don't realise what a gold mine they've got. If they actually if we actually got over the line with something, with a big trophy. But that's another story. But yes, in terms of what you're talking about, the pundits, Mac, Neil, you probably haven't seen much of it, but whenever I've heard or listened on the radio or listened on, just seeing what they're saying, it's almost like they're wishing it into existence. Like, Madrid, they get, what if they get an early penalty and they get a dodgy penalty in the first half after 5 minutes, and it's almost like they're wishing it into existence because they just want to see us sort of bottle it. That's what they want. They want us, Arsenal, to bottle it so they can throw that tag at us. Do you have any worries about the second leg? Obviously, we've got Brentford on Saturday evening. Are you pretty much, making 6 or 7 changes for that, and just making sure that everyone's all right? Because there's a concern about Rice, and there's a concern about Saka. Apparently, Rice has got a pretty deep gash in his ankle, I think, and it's kind of like the same thing that happened to Martinelli. You remember Martinelli got a deep gash? I can't remember who it was against. I think James might remember. Who was it against? He got a deep gash in his foot, and he didn't play for ages. Or was it Wolves?
Was it against? Oh no, I think it was City. It might have been.
I can't remember, but he got a really deep gash in his foot, and he couldn't play because obviously they had to let it heal up. And they're saying that might be the same thing that's happened to Rice. So he's definitely not going to play at the weekend. There's a worry about Saka as well. But is there any concerns? For you, the game's not over. The tie's not over, is it? It's literally how do we approach the second leg, and what do we do on Saturday? Do we just make sure that we just rotate as much as we can, like just take just get a point or whatever, or the title's over as long as we don't lose, to sort of kill momentum. But what's your thoughts on that, and then just obviously how we approach the second leg?
Firstly, about visualization, the media can visualize what they want, and they can try and manifest what they want, and all they're going to get is a 7-0 aggregate to us. So they can carry on doing all of that. I don't care until the cows come home. I think it was Seedorf. Was it Seedorf that James, your favourite ever player, was it? He said that he was was on the panel interviewing Rice at the end. I managed to catch that before I came on, and he was asking him about, because Rice was talking about the next game, and he just went, just tell me what can you see? You got to visualize it. You got to visualize winning the thing. And I think that's right. I think you do take one game at a time, but I think the ultimate goal for us is we have to actually believe that we're lifting this competition. And I truly believe that. Because I'm still going to say that we've been the best in the competition so far. I think we are the form team. I know Liverpool had that crazy run; they were top of the league all the way throughout it. But I think overall we have been the best team. So yes, media, you just carry on visualizing because we will be celebrating else otherwise. So they can do what the hell they want. I'm not interested in any of them, especially BBC Sport, as they really peed me off today. I
can't believe that. I did. I checked it when you said, and there's nothing. There was nothing there. There was only like a little story about
unbelievable
the keeper being at fault for was it a keeper mistake for Rice's goal?
Mm.
But if you like you said, if you looked at the BBC website today,
Mm.
you wouldn't have thought we played yesterday.
No.
You know, there was nothing across there at all. And you'll see tonight if Villa manage to get a draw or something, it will be all over it. It will be all over the back the landing page.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They're reminiscing about Liverpool's cup against Barcelona. We just created history yesterday. Rice scored the only player to score 2 free kicks in the knockout stages against the best team in the world, the best club team in the world, I will say, because of their history. And they're talking about Liverpool's comeback against Barcelona. It just makes me, do you know what? Leave them all to it. We know what's going to happen. We're going to have that parade. We're all going to be doing the Saliba dance, the one that he did at the 3rd goal, right? That mad one when he's waving his. That's what we're going to be doing on the streets of London come the parade when we are holding that Champions Trophy aloft. Okay? So as for Sunday, or when are we playing? Saturday, Sunday? I don't know. Saturday. I played the whole reserve team. I don't want to use any of the 11 at all. We'll get the point. Don't worry. The reserve team are hungry. They need to be playing. Treat that as a League Cup game as Wenger used to in the old days. We have to focus on the Champions League now. We have to give everything for that return leg. We have to.
Yeah. Because
I want to score the goals we didn't score because of that keeper saving everything. So I want another 4 goals. I want to end up with a 7-0 aggregate. And it's going to happen. So yes, we're not playing anyone against Brentford. Just rest the whole lot. I know that's really a bit nasty of me because obviously all those fans that paid for tickets want to see some good football, but they will. Because our reserve team's going to be brilliant and they'll probably win 3-0 anyway against Brentford. So there you go. Got a result. That's my thoughts. So, no, seriously, he's got to, on a street, that's not going to happen. He's got to play some senior players. But I think there's got to be at least a 50% change. It's got to be. We've got to protect the second leg at all costs for me.
Yeah, I pretty much probably would play. You know, Raya would play, obviously. David Raya would play. I would play the 2 centre backs because there's nothing else that we can do, and I think they can work their way through it. And then that's it. I think the only other person I would play will probably be Odegaard because I just think Odegaard needs to play into form. I think he was the one yesterday that I think was disappointing. I mean, this was the ratings of I think it's who scored. I can't remember. I think it's who scored, and you can see he's got the lowest rating there, 6.6. And he's not to have a go at him or to have a dig, but you can see everybody else is pretty much nice and comfortably in the green. But I would play Odegaard, and that would be it. I think on everyone else, I would play Ethan on the right, Trossard up front, and Sterling on the left. Partey wouldn't be playing. Rice wouldn't be playing. Obviously, he's looked like he's nursing something. I wouldn't play Miles. And I will play Ben White right back, probably play Tierney left back, and put Zinchenko in midfield. I literally, I wouldn't give anybody else any minutes. I don't need to do it. You need to, like you said, this is the best chance we got. Steve, obviously we can't talk about White too much. Obviously, I know whenever you come on the show, you like to at least have a little segment on him. But what's your thoughts on just how those 2 goals from Declan Rice, what that does to him? Because he's had a lot of what do you call it? He's had a lot of criticism about what he brings to the team and his best position and things like that. And you look at his numbers here, and this is his contributions over the last couple of seasons. Obviously, the ones at the bottom are with West Ham. And you can see he's obviously matched his goal contributions already for last season. Obviously that was his only season with us, wasn't it? And he's 2 away from matching his assists. But what do you think this will do to him, going forward? Because obviously he's got all the adulation, he's got all the attention now. Can you see him still doing that job as a left 8, or do you think in future? I think there might be a possibility that we might change formation. I still think he works better in a 4-2-3-1. I know I've kind of mentioned it with James on the chat as well, but I think if you put him alongside someone like maybe Zubimendi, I think or whether, Partey, whether, I think you get the best out of him, because then he can drive on from there because he's got someone else sort of looking after things. But what's your thoughts on just his performance and what this will do to him going forward?
I think it was very interesting hearing his interview after the game, and he said he just needs to believe in himself more. And I think in his time with us, he's believed in himself more. He talks about the chance where Saka put it across the box, and he kind of just paused, and he was like, I just needed to believe in myself. But when he came there, the coach was saying whip it in there, Jovier, Odegaard was saying whip it in there, and I looked at the box and went, there's nobody there to sort of think it in there too, if you know what I mean. There was only like 3 or 4 players on the edge of the box, so I was thinking, yeah, he might have a go. Why not? Saka tells him to have a go. Why not? If you feel it, take it. This is why not? And it's that sort of thing where I think this sort of result with the goals that he scored will give him the confidence to go, yeah, I do feel it. Like, do you know what I mean? I am good. Everybody's talked about him, like all the coaches, everybody was saying that, I even listened to some of the other different outlets, and they were saying, like Nigeria Coca was saying same sort of thing. He's good when he does, and just the bend on the first one. I mean, Roberto Carlos was in the crowd, wasn't he? And everybody talked about that goal against France in the I can't remember whatever that cup competition was. Yeah, and he looked confident. This is what he's always talked about. He's always talked about having the right to play and the right to play against these teams and showing ourselves what we're capable of. And he did that. He embodied that. Because the second one came and you just went, he's got to fancy himself. Yeah. And it's an even better free kick. And even top bins. I'm there going to kid one. You see that top bin? She's like, I'm like, screaming like a little kid. I don't just think for him, I think for everybody at the club. I think for Arteta as well, because he's had his criticisms from us, nobody feedback when it comes to Arteta. Everybody on that pitch, and I'm going to give Kirio his flowers as well, because to come in 2 games before, so he played Everton, got the man of the match, as you guys were saying, and then to come in against. People can say whatever they like, no offense to your friend Mac. Yes, this isn't the same Madrid and blah, 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 blah. They're still Real Madrid. They're still the current Champions League champions. And no champion wants to lose their title in a humiliating way. And we humiliated them yesterday because we were rampant. That second half performance, there was only going to be one winner. The Moreno shot from Lewis Skelly's pass. If you see it from behind him, it goes in, but as soon as he hits it, he knows it's going in. Yeah. Rice with the second one, his body shape. The body shape. When you look at it, especially that second one as well, his body shape is, you just go, how's he hit that? How has he hit that just like that? And it's gone flying in. He's got the power in his boots, and like I said, if you had heard me last night, the sound you were about to hear would have been devastating. That really could take off.
Yeah, that's it was just a magical. I think Kivior played really, really well. Shaky first half, but I think the second half he just grew. He was even tackling, taking the ball off Mbappe. you know, like it was a training exercise. And I think we, you know, the second free kick broke him. And I think, you know, that was it. I think, as you said, the fitness showed, the level showed. I think, you know, like Matt was saying, you could see that the levels of Madrid, you know, this season, you know, obviously our eyes are on Arsenal, but I know James has obviously got more of an eye on European football. Obviously, there is a danger on the other side of the draw with Inter, his other team, and he knows how dangerous they are. And it's kind of good that we're going to be, if we do face them, it's going to be on a one-off situation and not over 2 legs. But what's your thoughts on how things will go from here, James? I mean, are you concerned at all or anything? Do you think, you know, the way that we beat Madrid will not give us overconfidence, but just give us a belief that, you know, we can hurt them? You know, whether it's going to be an open play, which was a brilliant goal, obviously from Merino, but obviously at set pieces as well. Are there any concerns sort of for yourself going into that second leg?
So obviously, when we've always had a 3-goal buffer in this competition, we've not lost the second leg. So that, you know, that's a bit of history there that plays into it that helps. The thing for me, Mike, is and I think Mikel Arteta, where I'm very loud in what I've said against him, I have to be just as loud in my praise of him. I think he'll channel them properly for this, and they're going to come out and play. And I feel that can play right into Arsenal's hands now. As much as we've already got an advantage, the fact that they're going to have to start quick and score some goals to try and pull this game back, I think if we do what we're so good at, which is the defensive side of the game, we can catch them on the count. You know, we said before, didn't we, and you said it on your preview show, you saw the clips of them versus Valencia, even though they lost at the weekend. But all the highlights I kept seeing, same as you guys, I was like, bloody hell, though, when they counter, they're quick.
Yeah.
I'm like, they are so quick because they can just go like that chance for Vinicius. Bellingham played just that one pass. Or sorry, it might have been Mbappe, actually.
Mbappe,
he just played one pass that cut 4 players out, and then they were on, and he fluffed it, thank God. But you know that they've got that in their locker, so they're going to be trying to hit us as quick as possible. Because, like you said, they're embarrassed. They are absolutely embarrassed. And you talk about Moreno. I feel quite bad in some of the stuff that I've said about him as well. I've got to give him his props, because if we bought someone in January and I told you, Mike, we're going to sign someone in January, he's going to score us 10 goals in 6 games, you'd have been like, who is he? Who's he then? Where's he come from? So for him to go up there in a position that he's not played since he was 9 years old and to keep scoring like he's scoring, Neil, you said it last season about Havertz. Is he the perfect option? No, but for right now, yes, he bloody is. And this guy's stepped up. And do you know what? It's what he does instinctively. You know, I've seen Havertz sometimes. You're like, why have you took that touch there, mate? Why just hit it first time? This guy, he looks and sees what's going on, and he's like, I'm going to have a shot here because, again, like you said, Stephen, about Rice, he's like, I fancy myself.
Yeah.
And the confidence that he must be beaming, because, you know, he's played in Spain and everything, all his to score against Real Madrid in the Champions League as well. He must be beaming, all his family at home doing his celebration. That's becoming a bit of a trademark now. I think we're going to see that celebration a few more times this season, actually. It's becoming a routine. I think some of your kids might be copying it. It's becoming so famous.
He's scored more against Real Madrid than any other club, James.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Can see him doing it again. Can see him doing it again next week.
But he's been brilliant. And also, just one thing I'll add quickly as well. He did 12K yesterday. He covered the most ground out of any player. So that's something, you know, that's something that I weren't expecting. Because like we were texting each other during that first half, I was like, "Oh, can you get up off the floor?" Because he just kept, he just kept bowling over, and I was like, "Get up," because I was like, "You can do something here. If you're on it, you can do something." And he certainly did. So full credit to him. He's really establishing himself, not just up front, but even in midfield. I thought, you know, going back to that Everton game, I thought that was the best he looked, even playing in the middle when Trossard come on and he had to drop back. I thought he was brilliant in the middle as well. And the same last night when he had to drop back as well. He done it again there.
Yeah, it was. He's definitely growing in stature, isn't he? The goals are, you know, giving him the confidence as well. And you're right. He played really well against Everton. Just a bit annoyed about a couple of things. So, not to nitpick. And I think I mentioned it to yourself, Mac, in the chat. That Ethan didn't get, just a little taste, just a little 5 minutes, just to put him on. And I know you're saying obviously Arteta he's ruthless and he just doesn't want to, you saw his look on his face, during the when the third one went in and stuff, and the guy's just, he's going to take over the mantle of Simeone, isn't he? When Simeone departs, he's just going to be that person.
He's saving him for next week to do the Henri, Mike. That's what.
Yeah.
He's scoring next week at the Burnabout and hitting that celebration. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that would be unreal. But just Ethan not just getting a little taste of it. And I thought when Trossard came on, I thought he annoyed me a bit because he just seemed like he was playing for himself a bit. It was time when he had the ball. I don't know if you remember when he came on, and he should have given part. He had about 3 opportunities to give the ball away, and he just held on to it. And it was like if they tackle you, that's a transition. They can get in there. And I don't know what he was doing, and I just thought he played a part for the third goal. But I just thought, he's annoying me, and I think he's going to be obviously out the door in the summer, and that's probably why he's playing like he is. But just anything you wanted to add, Mac?
Yeah, I've got a few things. So first of all, go back to just what you're saying about the way that Madrid and my mate was obviously talking about them. I obviously must give flowers to Arsenal. Arsenal, regardless of who was, you got to play what's in front of you, right? And they were amazing, and we were amazing. And the bottom line is that they had no excuses. So they had their best strikers there, Vinny, Bellingham, and Mbappe, and they had all won the Champions League. So whilst we haven't, so bottom line is that we were imperious. We believed, a bit like we were talking about that visualization, and I know it got talked about, like I said on the post interviews, but they visualized that win. And they made sure that they did everything right. Everyone was disciplined and everyone was amazing. Talking about and everybody, even though they celebrated, didn't over celebrate. If you watch, they didn't have. I think the first goal stunned everybody. The second goal, everyone was celebrating, but not for long. Yeah. And even the third goal, I think that was the most they celebrated, but they were still at it. They're still focused. Even after scoring that third goal, could have got a full straight away. We know that obviously Courtois is the best goalkeeper around at the moment in Europe, and I mean he saved them from several goals. So that's first thing. Secondly, talking about what you talked about Ethan, we talked about it, but I think I have to be really clear that we have seen sentimentality too many times, especially all of us in this generation with Wenger years towards the end. You can't be sentimental. I appreciate that Ethan should have gone on, but at that time, we have to, you look at the situation, put yourself in the manager's shoes. Right, we're 3-0 up. They're desperate to get at least one. We have to do everything in our power to stop it. We can't bring on inexperience. This kid is young. He's going to get plenty of opportunities. Maybe not to play Real Madrid, but in the Champions League. We're not going out of the Champions League now, are we? Especially that 5th place, which we gave to the league, must I say.
No.
So let's just remember that. So we gave them that 5th place. So we're not going out of the Champions League. So there's plenty of Champions League games to play. Ethan may have been a little bit upset, but I'm sure he's fine. But we have to stick to the focus. The focus is not to let them score another game. So that's why, yes, he brought on the experience, even though, like I said, Trossard was annoying. And like he said, I think he's ready to leave. And that's fine. To be honest, he's been, not great. He scored 1 goal, but I mean, he's just not great at the moment. But I think the Ethan situation, regardless of how Ethan felt, which I'm sure he felt fine, because apparently I've just seen something in the news just now where they're apparently going to start renegotiating his contract. But we knew that was coming anyway. I think you just have to realize that we could not let them score a goal. And talking about the flip side, when I'm there, and even speaking to my mate, and this is what he said to me, he said, we cannot sit back. I think, look, with the supporters, right? He's there working there. And even think about, obviously, Arteta, he's master of analysing things. And he's got Berta there as well, Atletico, all the battles they had. So we cannot sit back. We still have to do exactly what we said. press hard, high line, keep at it, score a goal. We've got to go for it. We cannot let them score. And he said to me the same thing, actually, that they were saying on TV, the Bellingham stuff. There's anywhere where they can turn it around is the Bernabeu. Okay. And that's what he said to me. And he doesn't listen. This guy, even though he works with them, he's not a massive fan of them or something, but he knows, and we all know that they can turn it around there. So we have to stick to our game plan. We cannot sit back and think, oh, we need to hold on tight to this. We have to keep on playing the way we play, and try and score that goal. Even if they score a goal, our heads can't go down. Got to keep going and going and going, because we have the capability to score a goal. And also, as everyone has said, and he even gave flowers. This is a Real Madrid man, gave flowers to Merino, because he said, look, this guy epitomizes the modern footballer, a guy who does not playing in his position. And he's been given this opportunity to do something. And realistically, he doesn't have a clue to do it. But this is the modern day footballer playing our position and adapting and playing well. We've seen that with one of our best players this season, MLS, Lewis Skelly. 1 minute a left back. With England, he plays a bit further forward. He can play anywhere. There's nowhere, if you think about it, Lewis Skelly, he cannot play. He could play a forward if he wanted. He could play a winger. He could play at the back. Obviously, probably centre back is probably tricky, but he could play anywhere along the line. And this is a modern footballer. So he gave his flowers to Mikel Merino, because even though sometimes the position wasn't great, obviously scored a goal, he, even in his position, was drawing players to him so he could pass it off. So I think we have to say Mikel Merino was incredible. And can I just say quickly, finally, that Barcelona slapping Dortmund 4-0, which is beautiful, but scary for us, obviously. And PSG are
3-1.
They're not smoking, but they're putting them in their place. Villa 3-1, which is quite nice. But we knew probably if we get through this, we're probably playing PSG anyway, because they smoked Liverpool. So something to whet your appetite.
Yeah, not looking ahead that far, mate. I'm literally looking at 45 minutes at a time next week, and it's just good to be in this conversation now and where we've come from. We've waited so long for nights like this, and we all remember the Bayern Munich games were 10-2 on aggregate. That all of that banter we got, and then obviously the years in the Europa League and stuff like that, and to do what we've done against the champions, and in the boxing term, or as yourself, Mac and James love, if we end up winning the Champions League, we've beaten the champions, so we'll be the lineal champions, which Tyson Fury loves to tell everyone that that's what he was at the time. So we beat the man, we beat the men who beat the men, So before we finish, I just want to have some predictions from you all. I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I'll start with the most dangerous man, I better, because he might be outside my house in the dark in the garden, just waiting to take me out if I don't go to it first. Neil Shah, what's your prediction for next?
I love the way I've got him under control. It's great, isn't it? I love it.
What's your prediction for next week, Neil?
You don't care about the Brentford game, then? I take it.
No, I'll just forget about the Brentford game. Big boys.
Well, look, I did myself a disservice by giving them a goal in my first prediction, so I ain't happening. I'm going for it. I'm going 4-0.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
I'm going 4-0 because I think Martinelli's going to score.
4-0 on aggregate, or 4-0 in the Bernabeu?
No, 4-0 in the 7-0 aggregate.
I like it.
I'm visualising it. I'm
going to stick a quid on it,
because I think it was James. He's right. They're going to have to go for it on the off, and that's going to give us so many openings. I think we're going to shock the Bernabeu. I think we're going to get 2 early goals, and then there'll be a bit of a lull, and then we'll get another couple of late goals near the end. I believe it. 4-0. That'd
be lovely. I'm gonna stick with that. Steve, what are you going with?
I'm echoing Neil. We visualised it. I thought yesterday Martinelli might score. I thought at one point he was most likely our likeliest player to score, because again he had Valverde on toast pretty much. So yeah, I think think we go there, and I'm going to say 4-0 with Neil.
Wow. Well, well, I'll take that as well. James, no pressure, mate. What do you think the score's going to be next week?
Like I said earlier, I think we're going to play a very, very entertaining 0-0, and then Ethan Nwaneri's going to come off the bench and do the 1-0 Thierry Henry.
Oh, mate.
I think it's going to happen. It's either him or Saka, and they're going to do that celebration. Probably more likely to be Saka because he's going to start. But yeah, one of them's going to do it and do the Henry. They have to.
Could you imagine MLS assist to Ethan?
Yeah. It's like you said about all of the play. Carlos and that being there. Yes, apparently Declan Rice gave Carlos his boots after the game, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. But yeah, you saw the video with Henry and his kids as well, which was lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like, one of them's got a channel. You've got to pay homage to the man. So you got to do it.
Yeah.
Or they might come out with something, like you said about Saliba earlier, they might come out with something completely new that we'll all be, like I said earlier about your kids wanting to do the Merino. One of them might come out with something that they all start doing. Be amazing. But yeah, we're still going to go out there and win, so don't worry about it. It's all fine.
Okay, great positive stuff. And finish with you, Matt. What are you going for next week?
I'm going to go for a 3-0 again.
Ooh, wow.
I don't think they're going to score. I think they'll get frustrated. I think if we keep them quiet for half an hour, that's it, over for them, really. Vinny is a moaner, let's be honest, and Mbappe is a moaner. If they're not getting the service, and we've shown that we can control that situation, they were trying to pass, and we kept breaking up play. I don't think they're going to get the service, and they're not the kind of players, a bit like, I suppose, some of the guys here as well, like the Haaland, who are going to go and get the ball and go and take it and run with it. If the ball, they're not going to serve, they're just going to huff and puff and moan and just walk around. So I don't think they're going to score. And we know that we go in there with the full focus to win. I think we want it more as well. I think it's going to be a Mikel Merino goal. I think Martinelli's going to score, as I think everyone said. I don't know who's going to score the third one. That one I'll put up in the air. It might be Nwaneri.
MLS will score the third one. He's going to run right from the bottom, one half of the other. He almost did it the other day and he got fouled. This time he's going to complete the job.
I definitely, I agree that could happen, definitely. But so I think 3-0. I don't think they're going to score. I just can't see the way that they were playing. I don't see how they play any different, if that makes sense. Ironically, they were very predictable in what they were doing. And they literally, we've got the players to nullify that kind of passing. They had a couple of nice moments, but the fact that they weren't clinical shows me that they're not going to have it. So I don't think they're going to score 3-0.
Oh, wow.
Can I just say one thing? Because I think there's one player. I don't think it. Forgive me if he has been mentioned, but I've got to mention Partey. I think he
beat me to it.
He when he's. I think on a few pods before, when that guy's on form, I think he's a colossus.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone better than him in the Prem, at least in the Prem anyway, when he's on form and he just commands the midfield as if he's a giant. He was mopping up every loose ball, everything in sight. He was a defender's dream. He was fantastic.
Quick question. It's not probably going to happen because of they would have done it by now. But do you keep him on for one more year? Do any of you give him a 1 year extension, or do you think?
Absolutely. I think. Can I just say that I think that you'll be surprised. I think he wants to stay, and I think he's going to stay. I think he's going to stay. I think there's obviously lots of talk of him going, but there are lots of talk of Salah going, and Salah looks like he's staying.
Salah and Van Dijk, they're going to stay there. And
exactly. But there's lots of talk of them going. Trent's only going because he's young. He wants Real Madrid, fine. But I think Partey's staying, and Partey in effect figuratively slapped me. Because the pre-match, I said, "Nah, don't play him. He's indecisive. He was rubbish against everything." And he heard me, and he put me back in my box. So, so I have to take it. I have to put my hand up and say, "Hey, you showed me that the party's still on." So no, he was brilliant. It was amazing, and I think he will get the extension.
I think
without
probably, I think
there's no way they're going to let a guy of that quality. And he just oozed confidence and control and poise and just calmed everything down. I think he's going to let him go, just walk off to Saudi or wherever. No chance.
Well, I think it's probably the stuff off the field that is probably that's probably the thing that's making the decision, because I think, like you said, this is the first time he's pretty much been fit all season for us, isn't it? I think he's been out for big injuries in the time he's been with us, and like he's playing like he is. I think you keep him, but I think that maybe what's going on off the field, they're just waiting for that penny to drop and to see what happens before they make a decision.
Look at Xhaka, Mike. His best season, we got rid of him the season after.
Yeah,
and I see the same thing with Thomas Partey. He's not going to get better, so let him have a swan song per se, like Kieran Tierney. I'd love to keep Kieran Tierney, but he's not going to stay. So let him have a swan. If he can leave with a Champions League medal under his belt, the both of them, and then go, fantastic, job done. Because you're probably not going to get better than that, because they're not going to get better as players. And you've seen now, the minute Xhaka goes, we bring Declan Rice into that position, who can do everything that Granit Xhaka could do, isn't as reckless as him, but he's also got legs and he can move and he can turn left and right. He can't just turn left, he can turn both ways, unlike Granit Xhaka. And I'll tell you now, as much as Thomas Partey's brilliant, and he has been this season, he's shut me up. There's better players than him out there that are younger and they've got way more legs than him, and they can do more than what he can do. So don't worry about that. And Berta will find them. Berta will find them. Trust me. Yeah. I'm way more excited about this guy's appointment than most people as well, because I think yesterday. I didn't know that you were allowed to go on the pitch when you were staffed like that. I thought that the game had to be completely finito, like as in no one's in there. But he ran down and he was right on.
He's done that with Atletico. There was a picture of him when when they played City in the Champions League a couple of seasons ago, when it all kicked off, and there were like bust ups on the touchlines. He was like giving it to a City guy. I think he gave him a slap, one of the City members of staff. So he's been on the touchline before. He's got the accreditation. He can probably go. He can stay in a tunnel area. That's where he was. And that's where some of the players, like I think Calafiori, I don't know if you've seen the shot of Calafiori and Havertz laughing when Camavinga got his second yellow. They're actually laughing at that.
Did you see Gabriel's family in his box?
Yeah. That was heartbreaking, man. Because
I don't know if it was his brother or his cousin or something, when they went to go and grab him, and he's like, "Whoa, my leg, my leg."
He couldn't even get up. He just had to sit down like an old man. And
it was blanket. There's a blanket over him.
Like, man, he's
old man stuff.
Yeah, it's probably killing him that he's not out there doing that. But yeah, maybe the dream is that we win the Champions League and we do the thing we did with Robert Perez, when everyone goes down like that to him. When he gets his turn to lift the trophy. When he's hobbling along, on his crutches and stuff, and hopefully history repeats itself in that regards. But yeah, I'm going back to predictions. I'm going for a very boring 1-1. I just think we'll Madrid think they've seen everything with Simeone. They haven't dealt with Arteta ball yet, and he's a terrorist football when he's going to shut the game down. So I think. Will absolutely suck the life out of the game. The Madrid fans would go mental, start waving their white hankies around the way that we're killing the game. And then Mac will keep looking at the exit to get a hasty exit.
I won't be in my colours, trust me.
Yeah,
before it turns
a bit nasty.
No chance.
But no, I really appreciate it tonight, guys. Really appreciate your time. It was great to have a chat with all of you, a big cast tonight, just to talk about a momentous result, a result that we're going to spend the next couple of weeks, months, whatever, going over, as long as the rest of the journey is a good one. Obviously, like Max said, PSG winning tonight looks like it might be a match up with them again, and that's going to be an interesting one. But let's get the job done next week. Hopefully everyone gets fully rested and refreshed for what's to come. You know, Saka, you got a couple more minutes in as well. Wasn't fit, but still had Alaba on toast, as everyone said, and so did Martinelli. I think Martinelli's going to be up for it next week as well. Out there in Spain, you know what Brazilians are like when they play against when they play at the Bernabeu. So fingers crossed, guys. Thanks very much. Have a lovely rest of the week. Thanks for everyone watching. Thanks for all the support. Really appreciated. I'll leave with a message. You know, just protect your neck. You know, Wu-Tang style, and come on, you Gunners.
Newcastle, the central figure again, and he looks to trick Michael.